What in the world do we have here, you guys? These are Malabar spinach plants. And the reason why I have them growing in cups indoors is because although they are perennial in warm climates, they are not perennial in my climate because it gets too cold. So I went ahead and brought these inside, and I have been growing them on my counter for a couple of months now, and they have produced fruit and seeds while sitting on my counters. Hi, everybody. I'm Aubrey, and this is Crybaby Summer Homestead. And today we're talking about Malabar spinach. Malabar spinach is not a true spinach. It is a vining leafy green. It is an Asian plant from Asian countries, and it is very popular in many different cultures. Look at those beautiful flowers. They are so pretty. I think Malabar spinach makes a stunning ornamental plant as well. And as you can see, as I'm removing the fruit, that I am actually staining my fingers. So you could probably infer that Malabar fruit can be used as a natural dye, and it can be used as a natural food coloring. So, if we do end up not having food coloring available, which is something that's likely, um, you could use Malabar spinach fruit for food coloring. You could use it for dyeing fabrics, and it definitely did dye my skin. And you'll see by the end here how purple. It's actually really pretty, but it looked kind of crazy for a while. So this is a red Malabar. You can tell that there are like red stems on most of them there. You can see. It is easier to find seeds for red Malabar spinach than it is for green. I don't know why that is. If you have a reason, go ahead and pop that below. I do have seeds for both red and green varieties. You can find the seeds on um, Baker Creek, and I've also seen them from My Gardener and several other places. I bought a lot of seeds off of Etsy because I could get more for my money. Basically, they're about 10 cents a seed. So, like for I think it's like 350, you get 35 seeds or so from Baker Creek. Now, they usually do give you a couple extra seeds, is my experience when I actually did count them out. And also, if you spend a certain amount of money, they give you free random seed packets and so forth. So, but I really do like to get seeds from Baker Creek when I can. I don't like buying small amounts of seeds anymore. When I buy seeds nowadays, I like to get a lot. If you can see here, some of the seeds are already dried right there on the plant, so I don't have to really process these in any way. And I'm kind of just like collecting them and separating them a little bit because if they're already dry, I'm going to leave them out for a little bit, maybe a week or two, make sure that they're really dry before I put them into packets. But the ones that have fruit on them have to be left out considerably more. So I am starting to separate them, as you can see. There's still quite a bit of green fruit on most of these little plants, and there's more than one per cup, by the way, if you notice that. So basically what I was doing is I went through my seed inventory and I was looking to make sure that I planted seeds that were kind of old, because I want to make sure that my seeds don't die, right? So you want to get the most out of your seeds, not just out the most out of your money, but I always think of plants as the seeds are alive. And so I don't want my seed packets to literally die while they're not being planted. So I decided, since I had bought a bunch of new seeds of Malabar spinach, I didn't want the older ones to die, and I wanted to see if I could keep them going again. So I planted some out in my raised beds, but I did plant them a little bit late. And for whatever reason, maybe I planted too much like other types of leafy greens in the same container. Or maybe they didn't like how much sun they were getting. They should be getting about 6 to 12 hours of direct sun, and they are a warm climate plant. So I start them off in red solo cups, or doesn't matter what color they are, solo cups, whatever, and then indoors. And then when the soil is warm, I plant them outside. What's nice about Malabar spinach is that it's not a true spinach. It's like a spinach substitute. And a lot of people will say, they're not used to having their greens be so mucilagenic. So it is kind of like a succulent. I like the flavor. It doesn't have a really strong flavor actually. So I would think, kind of take on the flavors of what it's with. Like if you had like a citrus salad dressing, if you had several different types of leafy greens in a salad, I think it would make for an interesting texture. Some people don't like that mucilagenic kind of uh, consistency. It's not like slimy and squishy in my perspective. It it tastes nice. I like it a lot. So I'm gonna definitely be growing it a lot more, especially since I have like I would say a pound of seeds, probably about half a pound of seeds somewhere. And I do have I bought so many packets over the years. So I went through, and the purpose of this whole little experiment was to plant them and get new seeds from them, right? Because I knew I was like, oh gosh, I'm really pushing myself on this. I've had these seed packets for a long time. Let's go ahead and plant them, even if I only get seeds out of them. So in a red soil cup, overplanted the way I have them, I think I have like 5 or 6 plants per cup. And that's way too many if you want to get long, vigorous vines and lots of greens. But all I wanted were seeds. I just wanted to replace the seeds and make sure that I have younger, newer seeds again. So this is something that you can do too. Like if let's say you have lettuce seeds and you're like, oh gosh, it's too hot, it's going to bolt. But these seeds are so old. Plant them. In the heat of summer, your lettuce seeds and other kinds of leafy greens are going to bolt. Malabar spinach doesn't bolt. It just keeps growing and vining and doing its thing. It loves hot weather. But like lettuce seeds are going to bolt. But there's no harm in that because you can do that just for the sake of replenishing your seeds and not having to buy them again. So if you plant your things that you know are going to bolt, whether it's brassicas, cauliflower, broccoli, whatever, and your leafy, lettuce greens, you're going, and then radishes, even like those small radishes, you can plant them when it's not supposed to be time to plant them. Let them bolt, because bolting means free seeds, and you will get so many more seeds than what you put in there. For example, I have like I want to say like 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6, maybe 6 or 7, 6, 7. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I had like half a dozen here. That's probably 36 plants maximum, and that was 36 seeds I planted. But I'm going to tell you later how many seeds I end up pulling from these, and they're not done yet. You can see there's still some flowers, and there are still some immature seeds, immature fruits that are on the plants. I put them back in my window area, and they are still working on producing more for me. I also took all those little clippings, which I'm basically pruning it back because it doesn't look good. I went ahead and put it in soil and put soil on top of it. There's always a chance that it could grow, because you can grow Malabar spinach from cuttings. So you don't need a ton of seeds. If you want to collect seeds from your plants, you want a couple. But if it gets too vigorous, if you're growing Malabar spinach and it's getting too tall for you, you can prune it back and then take those long stems, cut them into like 5 or 6 inch segments, take off the lower leaves, put them in your salad, right? Waste not, want not. And then put those in a cup of water inside. And then wait about, you know, 10 days, 14 days, and you will have roots and you can plant that. I would not put them in direct sun with the trying to root them. So I have the best luck with rooting in water indoors. Now, I have done that outside with tomatoes before, where I just took a sucker and I actually just put it straight into the ground and it rooted and grew into a new plant. So it depends on the variety of plant, but for Malabar spinach, I personally would do the cuttings and then water propagate them as cuttings inside. You take the lower leaves, you eat them, you leave a leaf or two on top, and in about a week and a half to 2 weeks, you should see some roots forming. So you can look how beautiful this is. You can grow them from seeds and from cuttings. And if you have like a favorite plant, a favorite one, like you planted 10 seeds and one of them did really, really good, go ahead and take cuttings from that really good one. And that way you are getting a clone of that plant. And you could do it more than once. You could get multiple clones. You can dig up your Malabar, put it in a pot, and keep it growing all year. Or keep it in a pot the whole time. Let it do its thing, cut it, harvest it, take the pot inside the house or inside of a building, and then you could cut the vines and you could propagate hundreds and hundreds of these plants from cuttings and let them grow like I'm doing here, where I planted them from seeds and just like reusable, repurposed cups that had actually been used, and they are being repurposed and finding new life, finding a new value and use for them. But you can see here, you could double this up. So you have a food crop, you've got the leafy greens, right? You can propagate them. You could probably even put them into like little arrangements because they're really beautiful. So what I'm imagining here is like if you have like a little mason jar and you have like a little handful of flowers from your garden, you could put little cuttings of Malabar spinach in there while they're rooting, and it will look like a really pretty little arrangement that would be very, very lovely. You can do this with like mint, of course, oregano. You could have a whole little medley of cuttings that will look like a flower arrangement. It would be very decorative. So then that's another way of doing it. So it actually serves an aesthetic purpose besides the culinary purpose that it's intended for. So you've got the food crop of the leaves. You have the ornamental aspect of it. It's really pretty out in the garden. It can also be pretty inside while you're propagating it. You can use the berries. You can eat them. They have a big seed in them. They're technically edible. You can use it as food coloring. You could use it to, like if you want to take like a vanilla icing and you want to make it pink or something, you can change the color that way. It's very pretty. You could use it for, if you wanted to stain different food items or paper, if you're making like recycled paper, uh, like bookmarks and things like that, that would be really pretty. If you're trying to, dye a fabric, or also if you just want to walk around with really purple fingertips. I'm just kidding, you guys. It's not a thing. So yeah, I definitely am staining my hands. You could use gloves for doing this. By the end of the day, the stain is gone, but I wash my hands a lot because I'm a science teacher. So yeah, look at that. That is a lost stain. And on the paper too, I was like, I kind of wanted to keep it. I was like, this is really pretty. So I did start separating them. I have one little lid top for the dry seeds that were kind of already dry, the ones that they did by itself, and you could just let it go by itself, but I wanted to take those off and start collecting them to make sure I have those seeds so they're not just falling all over my countertops and rolling off onto the floor. And like I said before, I did plant, I just basically buried it. I'm composting in place. I have a little bit of shark fin melon clippings in here, so a lot's going on in my room. And I just kind of buried it in the soil, and some of it might grow, some of it might not grow, and it should be damp soil. I do water this area, and you can see that shark fin melon vine is not doing very well. But I do have shark fin melon cuttings growing fabulously in my classroom, and I still have seeds for those too. So I had a lot of fun with this little project, and it's not done yet because I technically do still have those plants on my countertop with the immature seeds ripening up, which I will go back in a little while and get them. So I went ahead and counted these up, and I had almost 150 seeds. So I took about 36 seeds and I got over 150. And imagine almost 150. If I had these growing outside, growing vigorously, long, tall vines, I'd have way more seeds. I could have a seed company selling Malabar spinach seeds because they produce a lot. So that would be fun. It does take time to process seeds, but I am really fascinated with collecting seeds. I enjoy harvesting and collecting seeds as much as I like harvesting vegetables and planting flowers and that kind of stuff. I know, call me weird, but I have a lot of fun with it. If you have a favorite plant that you're propagating from seed, comment down below, and I'd love to hear your comments. Be good, be sweet, go garden if you want to eat, and I will see you next time.